Been talking about this now since DOGE was announced. DOGE has absolutely zero power and never will, because it is not a government commission. It's not part of the executive branch or part of Congress. It's something totally outside the government. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy can talk all they want. The way business is being done in Washington by Republicans is how business is going to be done. The bill is sort of like a Christmas tree. Congress is adding more ornaments to the tree to dress up their end-of-year goals to spend more money. Could always agree on that in Washington. It didn't have to be this way, but there is such a thin Republican majority in the House, that's for this Congress and the next one, that Speaker Mike Johnson needs Democrats to vote yes.
We had these massive hurricanes, as you know, in the late fall, Helene and Milton and other disasters. We have to make sure that the Americans that were devastated by these hurricanes get the relief they need. So we are adding to this a disaster relief package, and that's critically important. So what would have been a very skinny, very simple, clean CR has been added. These other pieces have been added to it.
There's always an excuse. This is business as usual in Washington, and it's not what people voted for. A new poll by our friends, Carly Cooperman among them, shows that while voters are less trusting of the government as a result of this election, 40% believe the government will be more effective at getting things done going forward. That means 60% do not believe it will be more effective at getting things done. The issue is we are watching the same play over and over again with disastrous results. The slim Republican majority in the House, and they already have vocal dissent. It proves what we've been telling you all along. There's really no interest among Republicans to deal with the tough issues, to make the really hard decisions. Sure, they'll talk about how toilet seats can be less expensive and we need to fire federal workers and all that. But more importantly, just a couple of Republicans now standing on principle or protecting spending in their districts can sink any legislation. So this is how business is going to be done with Republicans going forward. The next Congress will face huge decisions that require adults making compromises and taking tough votes. You know, doing the job of legislating, not just bloviating on television. This week does not give us a lot of hope. With us now, Senator Ted Cruz of the state of Texas, member of the Judiciary Committee. Good to see you, sir. As always, nothing gets senators and congressmen together like agreeing to spend money right before Christmas so you can all catch your flight home. Is this, though, a way to govern?
Well, look, it's not the right way to govern. We ought to be passing appropriations bills using regular order, moving through the year, addressing it department by department. But I got to tell you, under Senate Democrats, they don't want to do that. They won't take up appropriations bills. They won't vote on them. So instead, the only choice is either pass a continuing resolution or have the government shut down. And that's a choice that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats made. Okay. My hope is next year, when we have President Trump in office and a Republican Senate and a Republican House, that we move in a timely manner and take up each appropriations bill and move it forward. And we'll see whether the Democrats are willing to participate in that process or whether they try to obstruct that process.
I don't have to tell you that hope is not really a governing philosophy or a strategy.
True enough.
Fair enough. So I look to next year. You only got a couple of members in the House for a majority. You got 3 Republicans in the Senate for a majority. Are we going to be right back here, and I'm going to hear from you blaming Senate Democrats over and over and over again? At what point does the majority, which is the House, which is where spending bills start, is it Republicans' responsibility to actually take a stand on some of these issues?
Well, it doesn't work as long as you have Chuck Schumer as Senate Majority Leader who refuses to move appropriation bills that come out of the House. And so what I can tell you is I'm incredibly optimistic about the next 2 years. You look at the election we had in November, the results were overwhelming. The American people, you look at the 7 battleground states, Donald Trump won all 7. The American people reelected Donald Trump. Not only that, they elected a Republican House and a Republican Senate, 5 new Republican senators flipping seats. We now have 53 Republican senators that are coming in next year. And I think as a result of this election, we have a real mandate. Number one, we are going to secure the border. If there's one very clear outcome from this election, it's that the American people are fed up with the Democrats' open borders. We are going to see border policy change on January 20th of next year when Donald Trump takes the oath of office. And Leland, I'm going to predict to you right now, it's not going to take a year or even 6 months to secure the border. We will see it happen in January and February of next year. We will see, because the damage that was done to the border was done through unilateral policies by Biden.
But at some point, if you guys want to, if Republicans want to live up to any of the promises they've made and deal with some of the real substantive issues, it's going to have to be done in the House, and it's going to have to be done in the Senate. We've got Republicans fighting with Republicans in the House right now. What gives the American people any hope that Republicans aren't going to screw this up like they have in the past, bickering amongst themselves?
Yeah, look, that is a real risk. I will say in the House, we have an excruciatingly small majority. It makes it very difficult. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, may have the single most difficult job in all of government. What I believe we will do next year, when we have a Republican Senate that is willing to work with the Republican House, we are going to take up 2 separate budget reconciliation bills. Now, what does that mean? That is Washington speak for a bill that can't be filibustered, that the Democrats cannot block. The first one, we are going to provide major funding to secure the border. I believe we're going to get that done. We're going to lead in the Senate. We have a mandate from the American people to secure the border. We're going to do that. Secondly, we are going to take up another budget reconciliation bill, and this one is going to be to extend the 2017 tax cuts that are expiring next year, and my hope is to make them bigger and bolder. You look at the election, the American people want to see the economy roaring.
I appreciate
they want to see inflation under control. They want to see energy.
I get that.
You asked what we're going to do. I'm telling you what we're going to do.
I get all that. None of that deals with the major problem facing America right now, twofold. One is a crumbling military. This from the fellow who wrote Black Hawk Down, the crumbling foundation of America's military. The U.S. failed to produce weapons and ammunition fast enough to supply Ukraine. Could it equip its own armed forces in the event of war? Issue number 2, and at one point you got a lot of accolades for telling the truth about where America is fiscally, which is going off a cliff if we don't deal with Medicare reform, we don't deal with Social Security reform. That's neither of the things that you talked about dealing with. And I think there's a lot of Americans who are watching right now and who are saying if Republicans, all they can do is bicker amongst themselves about these things, they are unserious.
Well, Leland, I will say it may be a bit premature for you to be reporting on the failure of the incoming Republican Congress, given that the Republican Congress hasn't been sworn in yet.
Okay.
Listen, at the end of the day, when it comes to rebuilding the military, I agree with you. We need to invest far more in rebuilding the military, and elections have consequences. Right now, Chuck Schumer is the majority leader. The Democrats have the majority in the Senate, and Joe Biden is still the president, although it'd be difficult to find him or figure out what he's doing right now. But as long as that is the case, you can't rebuild the military because the Democrats refuse to go along. Next year, in January, the new Republican majorities will come in. Judge us by what we do. I fully agree with that. But I don't think it's fair to blame Republicans for Chuck Schumer's refusal to secure the border, refusal to cut taxes, refusal to rein in job-killing regulations, and his ongoing war on energy. Listen, the American people want inflation down. We are going to see the Democrats' war on energy end next year. That is going to drive inflation down. That is going to bring jobs back. And so judge us on what we do, but the new majority isn't in office yet.
No, that is a totally fair point. We've often said on this program, never underestimate Republicans' ability to screw things up, but you all deserve a fair shot with majorities. This is how Donald Trump is saying he is going to deal with those who oppose some of his nominees, and I'm wondering if that also extends to opposing some of his policy proposals. Take a listen.
If they're unreasonable, if they're opposing somebody for political reasons or stupid reasons, I would say has nothing to do with me. I would say they probably would be primaried. But if they're reasonable, fair, and really disagree with something or somebody, I can see that happening.
We've talked about your razor-thin majority in the House. Senators are known to have minds of their own, especially when you've got a lame duck president and many senators whose terms are going to be beyond even Donald Trump's time in office. Is threatening everybody the right way to start off your administration?
Listen, Donald Trump is fighting for his nominees. I don't think anyone is surprised at that. I think this is a very strong slate of nominees. I believe all of the president's cabinet nominees are going to be confirmed. The Senate's responsibility of advice and consent is important. We will have vigorous confirmation hearings, but we're going to move expeditiously. We're going to move forward and confirm. I think, as I said, I think the entire slate will be confirmed. And of course, the president's fighting for his nominees. That's what you'd expect.
It is what you expect. Thank you, sir. As you said, I was going to ask, do you think it's going to work? You predicted it will. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, we all hope that we're not here next week talking about this, right?
Amen. I think everyone would like to be home with their families for Christmas, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of moving parts. So we'll see what comes out of the House and what comes out of the Chuck Schumer Senate.
All right, fair enough. Merry Christmas, Senator. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.